And Pippen's back was the huge story of this game.
Yeah. Essentially, he just said in one of the cameos regarding Game 6, he was like, "Yep, I went down with a back injury, and I was 5 minutes on the court, 5 minutes off receiving treatment in the locker room, and I was a decoy that whole game."
Yeah, and what he really meant was, Phil slipped me a few peyotes, and I was just ready to roll.
Which also I think it was very obvious that he was going to be used as a decoy. At least, then again, I'm talking about this however many years after the fact. It's Scottie Pippen, and he's one of the most talented players in the world, so he definitely could have come back and done a lot of really good things, and no one would have known it at the time. But it looks like from the footage, the way that he was hobbling about, at some point you might have suspected, like, wait a minute.
But the highly observant Jerry Sloan has to know.
He's not out there for high impact. He's out there. No, he's not a decoy. Or is he?
God.
Like, he was clutching his back and running like he was about to drop a deuce on the court at different points. He looked that in pain from running at points.
I mean, the announcers even knew it. They're like, yeah, Pippen's grimacing. Meanwhile, they check on Jerry Sloan, and he's just like, Michael played with the flu?
Yeah, he's still looking at the box score like, oh my God, 54 points. Oh my God.
I can't believe this happened to me.
Or Jerry Sloan.
I think we're talking about Jerry Sloan more than any other podcast has.
Probably more than Jerry Sloan's family has.
More than John Stockton in his high school coaching career.
Sorry, what were you gonna say?
Oh no, I was just gonna say it seemed that Michael Jordan was like combating fatigue while Pippen just kept on leaving. Like he left in the first, he returned in the third, and then they took Pippen out, and then they had him play the last 10 minutes of the fourth quarter. But that was also after they showed the Malone and Rodman just getting into each other's face the whole time.
I think one of the funniest reactions I've seen to that whole, the ass slapping incident is someone tweeted that out, and then someone quoted that tweet. It was like, damn, but OBJ really got arrested for that shit at the national.
Oh, that was Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett said it.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And then Odell Beckham responds like, "Yeah, man,
like, yours was actual assault though."
Yeah, I got charged with assault, and you somehow didn't get charged it. Oh God. That was really funny when I read that, and I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe this is on Twitter. Like, I feel like this is something you would just text. Be like, damn, dude, you should be in jail right now.
Twitter remains supreme.
And then OBJ goes, haha, dude, you should have been charged with murder. And Myles Garrett's like, haha, laughing emoji. I just got suspended. Please shut up. And then the thing that also happened was Stockton hit a clutch 3 with 41 seconds, but then they decided they said the greatest sequence in sports occurred, where Michael stole it from Malone after Malone was going into isolation in the post on the block, and Michael came and stole it because he usually would trail off and follow the cutter that would.
Yeah, but he didn't.
Yeah, he didn't, and then he just stole it, and then the whole game turned to slow motion. The way they panned it, not in real life, unless you're Jerry Sloan and you might be suffering a stroke. And everyone was basically like, "Yep, we know what we gotta do. We need to get out of Michael's way. We know what's happening." I'm like, do you see Dennis Rodman where he just like walked? He's like, "Yeah, I knew what was happening. I was just gonna walk. It was gonna be sick."
Yeah, I think. Yeah, oddly enough, I think Scottie Pippen was the one who was like most in tune with the play, and he's like, the way he was hobbling, he was still running faster than everybody else, and with able bodies was running.
The peyotes kicked in the last 41 seconds, and Pippen just got his last bolt of energy.
Yeah, Rodman didn't even go into set a screen or anything. Kukoc just was hanging out in the corner. Pippen was wherever. I don't even know who the fifth guy on the court was. Maybe it was
for their
Ron Harper or something.
I think it was their center who has the goatee.
Was it Wennington?
Yeah, Wennington, I think.
Yeah. I was just going to say really quick, if I wanted anyone's perspective of that moment, it would it would have been Brian Russell, but he did not make a single cameo in this whole thing.
But John Stockton's like, guys, I got this. I'll
He's
take.
a great guy.
Brian Russell tried his gosh darn hardest to pull out an absolute win for us, the great fans of Utah who are so sympathetic and so frivolous with lovemaking.
Brian Russell's just got a big heart and just just a heart of gold.
And Jerry Sloan knew exactly where he was and totally didn't think he was in college. And yeah, this led to the famous last shot of Michael Jordan's career with 5.2 seconds left, with the alleged no push, as Michael said, bullshit.
I don't think it was What? All right, you go first.
I just feel like it looks like a push. Like I think it's just one of those things that if you're one of the two people on the like receiving end or giving end of that play, that you are the only two that knows, because the way the photo or the video looks is that it does look like a push, but it could also be like one of those things that Michael said where he was already going backwards and it wasn't really him pushing as much as it was like momentum or something.
Yeah. Bob Costas was the one who made the comparison where he was like, it was no more a push than a maitre d' bringing someone to their table at a restaurant. So
yeah,
I don't know. I don't think it was a push, and I said this to you before we started, but my reasoning for it is maybe however much time there was on the clock, I think that maybe he could have tried to go in and drive in and maybe try to get a foul, and maybe he was trying to create some separation that way with his hand up top to begin with, but then realizing, maybe at whatever point, like, oh, wait a minute, I'm Michael Jordan and I can bury this shot because I'm Michael Jordan and I'm the greatest of all time. Then I think the hand going down and going onto his lower back or his ass or whatever, and kind of making it look like more of a push. That's where I think that was just strictly momentum and like his hand going down to be with the ball before going up with the shots. But I also can see where you're coming from, where everyone comes from with that argument. So I do agree with you that it probably is a story that Brian Russell or anyone else who's been on the receiving end of that, where they can be the ones to be like, no, but you weren't there to really feel it or know.
You didn't feel Michael's warm hand on your thigh.
Scottie Pippen comes around the court. I know what that's like.
Oh, all right, trust me, he was all over me.
It's a game.
John Stockton's like, well, that was just the most gosh darndest unlucky play of all time.
Heads up, boys.
Boys, I prayed last night and it did not pay off.
Now let's go get in the handshake line and try not to cry.
Now let's go look forward to tomorrow morning when one of our neighbors delivers us milk, because we're all milkmen. And
Bible study at 10.
Don't be late. Don't pull a Rodman. And yeah, that leaves it that that was the end of the run for the Bulls. It died there. And
yes. And at this point, there was still like 15 to 20 minutes left in the documentary.
And it was at that point that I wished they just made like that finals a little shorter so I could learn more about the aftermath. But I guess maybe they'll try to do it for a different documentary, because I was very interested in how that was going to go, and I was very disappointed in that part.
Yeah, because I think they spent an appropriate amount of time reflecting on and showing footage from the championship parade at Grant Park. But I think it was called Grant Park. But there was the moment where Scotty gets up to the podium and there's all this uncertainty about, oh, is he gonna be back? Are they gonna trade him? And what's Michael Jordan gonna do now? Is Phil Jackson gonna come back as coach? And I think they spent the right amount of time on that celebration and those questions at the celebration. But then the last couple minutes was, I think, just the biggest disappointment out of this whole. It was the part that you wanted to know about the most. That was the whole point. It's the Last Dance is what it's called, and you wanted to know about it, and it was just so anticlimactic.